Hello and welcome to this tutorial for users of Microsoft Excel 2016 for the Mac. In this tutorial we're looking at working with multiple worksheets in Excel. Up until now we've only been working with one worksheet at a time. But here I'll show you how to use an Excel workbook consisting of multiple worksheets, how to format and calculate across those worksheets. And to begin, we'll look at how you get additional worksheets in your workbook. Now in this example, all I have is a single worksheet. And what I'm going to do first of all is actually create a new workbook. So to do that, simply go to the File menu and choose New Workbook. And the default workbook will open. If I just drag that up to the top there and have a look down at the bottom, you'll see we have three worksheets, sheet 1, 2 and 3. When you create a new workbook in Excel, you may have 3 blank worksheets, or you may have fewer, or maybe more, because you can vary the amount of worksheets that appear when you start a new workbook. And I'm going to modify that now. So if I come up to the Excel menu and click on Preferences. And here's our Excel Preferences dialog, and all you need to do is click on General. And in the Settings section, you'll find Sheets in New Workbooks. And at the moment it's set to 3. But I can increase or decrease that. So let's say, for example, I would like to have 5 worksheets open whenever I start a new workbook. I can just change that number using that small dial button there, up and down, to modify it to 5. Close the dialog. And now if I go to File and New Workbook and drag that one up to the top as well, and if we look at the bottom of the window, you'll see indeed I have 5 worksheets. So when you're starting from the beginning, that's a good way to create the number of worksheets that you need in a workbook. But what I'm going to do here is close my 5 worksheet workbook and also close that other blank workbook and go back to my Fred's Movie Classics worksheet. And what I'd like to do here is create 4 additional worksheets. So I'm going to have 4 weeks worth of data, and the 5th worksheet will be a summary of that data. So if I come down to the bottom left there, you'll see I have sheet 1. And there's a small plus sign to the right of that. If I click on the plus sign, I get another worksheet. And I can simply go along, click the plus sign until I have all 5. Another way to add a worksheet is simply to right-click on any existing worksheet. And you'll see there one of the options on the shortcut menu is Insert Sheet. And by the way, if you have a single button mouse, you can also bring up those shortcut menus with Control and click. And that shortcut menu is also useful when you want to remove worksheets. So again, just point to the particular sheet you want to remove, right mouse click, and you'll see there the second option is delete. Further down we have rename and move or copy. We'll look at those in a second, but just for now, let's click delete and remove that worksheet. And now that I've removed my 4th worksheet, I need to add 2 more to get to my total of 5 required. So what I'll do here is click on sheet number 2. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click on sheet number 3. So both those sheets are selected. If I now right click and choose move or copy, I have this new dialog appear. I have the option of moving the selected sheets to a particular location, so before sheet 3, sheet 2 or sheet 1 for example. But I'm going to select move to end, and I'm also going to select create a copy. So just put a tick into that box and click OK. And Excel duplicates my selection and places the 2 new worksheets at the end. You can also relocate worksheets through click and drag. So if I wanted to move the selected sheet here and move it to be the 2nd worksheet in the group, I would click on the tab and drag to the left. And if you see there's a black marker, a small arrow, and that indicates where the worksheet will be dropped. So there I'm going to drop it just to the right of sheet 1, release the mouse button, and then I've moved that sheet. Next I'm going to rename all the worksheets, and to rename a worksheet you can either right mouse click on the worksheet and select rename, and then that puts the sheet tab into edit mode, and I can for example type week 1, press the enter key, and that's now been renamed. Alternatively I can simply double click on the worksheet tab and then type in this case week 2, press the enter key. It's as simple as that. Now what I'm going to do here is actually double click again and copy that content, double click on my 3rd sheet tab, paste that, and then I'm going to delete the 2, replace with a 3, double click on the 4th sheet, paste in the name and just replace the week number, and finally I'm going to type summary in the 5th worksheet And there I've created and named my 4 additional worksheets, and the next thing of course is to add some content. Now if I click back onto week 1, what I'm going to do first of all is copy this table to the other 4 worksheets. And to do that I'm going to select the entire worksheet by clicking to the top left of the worksheet. You'll see there's a grey area which is to the left of the letter A and above the number 1, and if I click, that selects the entire worksheet. Now you can also do that using a keyboard shortcut Control and A, but the difference here is by using this selection button at the top left of the worksheet, I can also copy the column width as well, as you will see. So if I now just type Control and C on the keyboard to copy, I'm now going to simultaneously paste the content to the other 4 worksheets by clicking first of all on week number 2. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click on the Summary tab, so those 4 sheets are all grouped together. Cell A1 is already selected on sheet number 2, so all I'm going to do here is Control and V to paste. I also want to set the zoom level, so if I click on the zoom button at the bottom right, the 100% button, change it to 150%, click OK. And finally I'm just going to click into the title to deselect. And if we now look at week 3, you'll see the same content, and week 4 and summary, so they all have a copy of that original table. So in circumstances where you want to replicate content across multiple worksheets, you can first of all copy your original content, group the worksheets, and then paste that content across many worksheets simultaneously. Now to deselect a grouped range, you can click any tab outside that range or hold down the Shift key and just click on the active worksheet like so, and now those sheets are ungrouped. As well as navigating by clicking, you can also navigate by using Control and Page Down to move across the worksheets to the right, and Control and Page Up to move across your worksheet to the left, like so. And now I'm back on week 1, I'm just going to deselect that as well. I'm going to regroup the worksheets from week 2 to the summary worksheet, and the reason for that is I'm going to delete out the content from cell C4 down to C10. So select that range and press delete on the keyboard. Again, remember Shift and click the active sheet to deselect. And if we now look at the other worksheets, you'll see that that particular column of data is blank. And what I'm going to do now is enter some rental information for week 2, 3 and 4. And when I've done that, we'll come back and continue with the tutorial. Okay, now I've got my data entered into weeks 2, 3 and 4. I can show you that by using Control and Page Down. Just move to the different worksheets, and of course summary at the moment remains blank because we haven't created the calculations there yet. Now if I come back to week number 2, what I'm going to do is create a running total, and I'm going to create a label first of all. So with week 2 already selected, hold down the Shift key, click on everything up to summary, so those 4 worksheets. I'm going to click into cell F1 and I'll type the label running total. I'll also apply a bit of formatting to cell F1. I'm going to click Wrap Text. I'll also center the text horizontally and vertically, and maybe apply a background color as well, maybe that light blue there. Now I've done that, I'm just going to deselect the worksheet. So again, I could just shift click onto the selected sheet, and if I click on week 3, week 4 and summary, you'll see my running total label appears there. So again, another benefit of using grouping is that you can quickly apply labels across many different worksheets. So let's come back to week 2 again and create our calculation. So I'll click into F2, and as with any calculation in Excel, we start with the equals key. I'm going to first of all click on the total for this week, so that's the value in cell D12. Type plus on the keyboard, and now click on Sheet tab week 1. And here I want to add the value, the total from week 1, which is cell D12 again. And to complete the calculation, simply press the Enter key. Now if I come back and click on F2 there and take a look in the formula bar, you'll see the calculation. Obviously D12 is a standard cell reference, but the next part of the formula says week 1 exclamation mark D12, and that's the format that Excel uses when it's referencing data on another worksheet. I'll do the same calculation for week 3, so if I come to cell F2 on sheet number 3, again equals on the keyboard, click on the total for week 3, plus on the keyboard, come to week 2, And now click on the running total value. So click on F2 in week 2, press the enter key, and so there we have the running total now for weeks 1, 2 and 3. And finally for week 4, again come to cell F2 in week 4, equals on the keyboard, click on the total for that week, plus on the keyboard, navigate to the week 3 worksheet, come to the running total value for that particular week and press the enter key. And so now we see the running total for all 4 weeks. And if I come to the summary tab for the running total for summary, all I need to do is type equals on the keyboard and simply go to the week 4 worksheet and refer to that final running total in cell F2 on week 4. So click on that, press enter. And that's because the running total for the summary worksheet is going to be identical to the week 4 running total. And finally, for the summary worksheet, I obviously need to create my calculations for column C for the rentals quantity so that all my other calculations are populated. So first of all here, let's click into cell C4. And now what I want to do is add up all the cells from week 1 to week 4. There's 2 ways I can do that. One is a bit tedious. I'll very quickly show you that. So if I type equals on the keyboard, go to week 1, click on the corresponding cell for week 1, cell C4, plus on the keyboard, go to sheet 2, click the same cell on sheet 2, which is C4 again, plus on the keyboard, go to week 3, again go to cell C4, plus again on the keyboard, come to week 4, and again that same cell C4. You'll see the formula bar there, so there's a calculation which adds up whatever is in cell C4 on week 1, 2, 3 and 4. And if I now press the enter key, you'll see the result of all that on the summary sheet. Now that's not too bad when you're dealing with 4 worksheets, but what if you had maybe 10 or 15 or 20? You could imagine that process would get a little bit tedious. Now fortunately there's an easier way of summing things up across worksheets, and that's to simply use the sum function. So I'm going to delete my original calculation and let's recreate it, hopefully in an easier way. So first of all type equals sum, because we're creating the sum function, open parentheses, and now this is a little bit different to a conventional sum function, and what I'm going to do here is click on the week 1 tab because that's where I'm starting from. I'll then go to the formula bar. You'll see we have the name week 1 followed by the exclamation mark, and what I do here is click at the end of the formula, delete the exclamation mark and replace it with a colon. And now I go to the week 4 worksheet, and here is where I click on the cell reference C4 and then close the parentheses to complete the function. So if you take a look in the formula bar at the sum function, between parentheses we have the starting worksheet, and then a colon separates that from the ending worksheet, an exclamation point to indicate it's dealing with worksheets rather than cell references, and then the cell reference we are interested in adding up. So if I now press the enter key, you'll see we get the same result as we did previously, but I hope you'll agree that in cases where we have many worksheets, that will be a much quicker process than simply methodically going through one by one and adding each cell. I'll go through that process one more time. So if I click into cell C5 now, so equals on the keyboard, the function name sum, open parentheses, go to the week 1 tab, again come to the formula bar, delete the exclamation mark, replace with a colon, come to the week 4 worksheet, click on cell C5 as that's the cell we're adding up across those worksheets, close the parentheses and then just hit the enter key, and there's the result. So we have 40 rentals across those 4 weeks. And finally, to complete my summary worksheet, I'm just going to put the mouse pointer at the bottom right of that existing cell and drag down and let Excel's relative cell referencing take care of the rest of the table for me. So that completes this look at working with multiple worksheets in Excel, creating worksheets, managing them, and creating calculations across those worksheets. I hope you found some things in there that are useful and you can apply them to the spreadsheets that you're working on. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.